Cowboys, though, back on the practice field today. We talked with Clarence Hill Jr., the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, a little bit earlier on in the program. If you missed anything during our program, hit the rewind button on the Odyssey app. You can listen to any segment anytime on demand for the Get Right. I had a chance to talk with DeMarcus Lawrence a little bit after practice today. It was good to be back at the Star in Frisco. First time back there in a little while since the season has ended. And it was good to see a lot of folks who obviously cover this team, cover the beat for the Cowboys, but also catch up with some of the players as well, and was able to talk with DeMarcus Lawrence. And I wanted to get his perspective on this defense because Dan Quinn continues to choose the Dallas Cowboys to be in a relationship with. You must be doing something really good if your partner continues to choose you every day. And Dan Quinn for the last...
but this ain't just choose you every day. This is choose you while people are trying to poach. Like, people are trying to break up your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And honestly, like, the natural progression of this is in theory that he goes and finds those other jobs. So the money's been right. Maybe some promises been made. I don't know what exactly the situation is, but he keeps coming back.
And this defense is going to be the beneficiary for it. So this is going to be cut number 5. I posed the question to DeMarcus Lawrence here. What is the sense of urgency for you and this defense, DeMarcus, now that Dan Quinn is back for another season? Here's what he told me.
We're feeling pretty good about ourselves. Being able to have DQ come back another year, familiar with the system. Just feel like, it's time to just take it to a new level, of understanding the game, but also, making sure the young guys get acclimated. Feeling great about this season. It's still early, but, it's up in the air.
Another level is what I took from that, because this defense continues to get better and better under Dan Quinn, and now another year with him and the pieces that they've added, Stephon Gilmore, re-signing Jaron Kearse to go along with Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson, who they brought back as well, along with Leighton Vander Esch.
Jonathan Hankins and the addition of Mozzie Smith through the draft.
I'm getting the sense, Reg, that this team is going to be defined by its defense, even with the stars and the weaponry that they have on this offense. I just get that sense that this season is going to be defined by what this defense does. And to back up some of that, unbeknownst to me until I came across it on Twitter, shout out to Mina Kimes of ESPN. Here's what she had to say about how she's feeling about this defense and where they could rank in the league, according to her. Take a listen.
They're returning their defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, which is a huge coup. He's been fantastic. And I think they addressed their two biggest areas of need. Run defense, they draft Mozzie Smith, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, and depth at cornerback. They trade for Stephon Gilmore. So the offense doesn't have to start out hot because this defense, I believe, is one of the 3 best in the league.
One of the 3 best in the National Football League. Do you believe this season could be defined by this Dallas Cowboys defense?
Yeah. I mean, last season we got to a point where it felt very evident that the defense was the leading portion of this team. It was like, oh man, is this a defense first team? Kind of feels like that, especially if you want to make this as simple as who's the best player on the team?
Micah Parsons.
All right, boom. There we go. Like, we're starting on that side, right? From the A17. Is it bad to say I'm more excited to see the defense than the offense? No, not at all. And I think that's in for good reason, right? Like this, they have a good philosophy and they've made sure to put good players around it. We can also talk about it from like an organizational perspective. Have they viewed the defense as the best portion of this team? And you could easily argue yes. In fact, we saw, speaking of the word argue, on draft night, it seemed like there was some discussions. Let me not use the word argue, but discussions when that first round pick came up. And then we look up, and after all the discussions going in, all the scuttlebutt, all the banter, whatever other word you want to use, about, oh man, tight end, Kincaid, maybe Sam Laporta, right, popped up out of nowhere. They go defensive tackle to address the run stopping, right? It very much seems like that has been a focus. They spent money, like they used capital at defensive tackle. They spent money on safety. These are they went and traded for a cornerback. These are things that they haven't necessarily, as an organization, invested in as their MO. And they've done that. Like, this seems very clear that defense is something that they prioritize, and for good reason, because you mentioned Mina Kimes said that she thinks they could be a top 3 defense. Arif Hassan of Pro Football Network did a ranking of the best defenses in the league heading into 2023. And while the Cowboys were not ranked 1, he ranked them 2. And so, like, it makes sense that would be the way that you identify this defense. Now, bouncing back to what you were talking about with the original thing, like the audio, the conversation that you had with Tank Lawrence, the idea of another level. The question that immediately came to mind is like, okay, but what's the next level? What do you see as the next level for this defense, considering the way that they played this past season?
I mean, the next level being consistently stopping the run, because teams were not afraid to run the football on you because they felt that they had a lot of success in the ability to succeed on your run defense. You mentioned they specifically addressed that by getting Mazi Smith in the first round.
And re-signing Jonathan Hankins.
So there's commitment to stopping the run to complete this defense. You look at all 3 levels now of this defense with your edge rushers and DeMarcus Lawrence and Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong.
There's so many edge rushers,
There's so many. Dante Fowler Jr., there's so many edge rushers. Micah Parsons that can be a part of this
Did you
group.
mention Sam Williams in there?
Yeah, Sam Williams tossed in there. On the second level, you brought back Leighton Vander Esch, who had a bounce-back year this past year. And then we mentioned the back end of this secondary. Stephon Gilmore on one side, Trayvon Diggs on the other. Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker, and Donovan Wilson. You've got the makings here of an extremely talented defense, and with the confidence that Dan Quinn continues to instill in this organization about his ability to teach, about his ability to help this team grow, they believe that he can help this team get to the promised land. And if you forget, this was a defense that only allowed 19 points on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. They did their damn job that day in San Francisco, and the offense let them down by only scoring 12 points. To me, this season will be defined by the way this defense carries them, because this offense can now look across the field and say, oh, we can just get to 20, 21, because this defense, we believe, can carry them in that way, given all the talent that they have. But more importantly, the continuity that is there with Dan Quinn coming back for this team.
I mean, we understand the way that off seasons have been built through the CBA, right? It's less time to get all of these things together. Continuity, I imagine, is one of those things that is a godsend for a team and for a coaching staff, because we don't have to build everything from the foundation. There is a foundation, and now we can build on top, talking about adding on, talking about another level. And when you look at the defense, man, this was an incredible one, by all accounts. You want to talk about another reason why I'm certain that the defense is the way that this team leads?
Oh.
How about we look at it from an offensive perspective? Mike McCarthy taking control of the offense. What has been his, rallying cry, or what has been his chief discussion point when it comes to this offense? You want to play complementary football. Want to be able to keep, run the football as well, have some possession. Like, that's not simply the idea of we just want to run the football, right? And obviously having balance then creates an opportunity of attacking the defense in various ways. Like, those are good things. Some of that is also, we want to make sure that we're not taxing this defense too much because we expect them to do things for us. Like, we need the offense to be able to balance that out. And I think that also speaks to the way that this defense was good last year, looks to be good this year, and the expectation is that they are good in a way that is not just capable of winning the NFC East, but in a way that they anticipate they can hopefully win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And of course, as soon as we start talking about in that realm, I understand eyes roll. We have to have all the conversations about the Cowboys, their history in this way, and I get it. But when we're just talking about the caliber of defense, this is the caliber of defense that people anticipate from them.
From the 817, so many people say that we were worried too much about beating one team in the Niners, but our conference is set up where we have to see them eventually. So, yes, we have to be ready to face that one team in the postseason. And I think, to Mike McCarthy's complimentary football point, the talent and the skill that you see on offense has to be matched by the toughness and the physicality of this defense to set the tone for the entirety of this football team. And the last 2 seasons, you faced a team in San Francisco that punked you in your own building at AT&T Stadium, and then was again physical again with you in San Francisco. physical toughness and a mentality that is consistent around that, I think, is what this team is looking for. And they have continued to shore that up on the defensive side. The question is, will this offense, Mike McCarthy, come along with it? And it is a far cry and turnaround from just a few short years ago when we were looking at this offense to carry things. And now this defense is where it needs to be. And now they are the focal point of this football team. I'm excited to watch this defense play and to see if they can deliver upon what they believe is what Dan Quinn can deliver them, which is a consistent, physical, tough defense that will keep them in ball games week in and week out.